Hello everyone, welcome once again to What's Made Easy. My name is Dr. Beston Wheeler, and today we are going to be diving into a very important topic in pediatrics, and this is us learning how to give feeds in babies in neonates. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share with your friends so that you don't miss out on any content that I do post on my page. With that being said, we can begin. Time is not with us. So we have a simple scenario here. We have a term baby that was delivered at term. Okay, let's say this child was delivered at 38 weeks, okay, which is term. And this child is weighing 3 kg, and the child was delivered through cesarean section. Okay, the child was delivered through cesarean section, and the child has been brought into NICU for observation and also for feeding. So you are the doctor who's there, you are the healthcare provider who's in NICU, and this is the child that you have. So how do you feed this child? How do you calculate the feeds that you give to this child? That is what we're going to learn very soon. So stay glued to the screen. So now for you to feed for feeds in neonates, there's a table that we use. So usually we follow the birth weight and also the type of fluids and how much it is. So usually for a child who is born with a birth weight of greater than or equal to 1.5 kgs, okay, if the child is born with a birth weight of greater than or equal to 1.5 kgs, the fluid of choice is you're going to give 10% dextrose, and on day one, you're going to give 60 ml per kg per day. So you start this child on 60 ml per kg per day. For a child who's born weighing 1.2 to 1.49 kgs, your fluid of choice is 10% dextrose, and you give 70 ml per kg per day. Okay, a child who's between 1 to 1.19 kgs, okay, your fluid of choice is 10% dextrose, and you give at 80 ml per kg per day. And a child who weighs below 1 kg, this is most likely a premature baby, isn't it? Okay, but we'll talk about how to administer these feeds in premature babies. We're only concentrating on term babies in this particular video. So for a child who's less than 1 kg, the fluid of choice is 5% dextrose, and is supposed to be given at 90 ml per kg per day. So this is our child who is a term baby, and the child is 3 kgs, okay, which means that our fluid that we start is at 60 ml per kg per day. So for this child, how are we going to proceed with the feeding for this child? So on day one. So remember that in NICU, we don't have a day 0. So the first day that the child is in NICU, the day that the child is born, that is our day 1. So day 1 of feeds, okay? So day 1, what are we going to feed? So day 1, remember the child is 3 kg, so we're starting the child on 60, okay? So day 1, the child is supposed to be given the TFI. TFI stands for total fluid intake. So TFI in this child is going to be 60 ml per kg per day. So this child is supposed to receive 60 ml per kg per day. But for children that for term babies, for babies that are born at term, we don't usually we say our TFI, our total fluid intake, is equals to our EBM, okay, which is expressed breast milk, which means that the entire 60 ml per kg per day in term babies is supposed to be given as expressed breast milk. It's supposed to be given as feeds and not IV fluids. So the entire TFI, total fluid intake, is equal to EBM. Okay, so you started at 60 ml per kg per day. So how are you going to proceed? So let's calculate, let's work this out. How are we going to feed this child on the first day when they come to NICU? How do we feed this child? So remember that the child is 3 kg, so which means that the feeds that we are going to give are going to be, so our TFI, which is the same as the EBM, is going to be 60 ml per kg per day multiplied by 3 kgs, because the child is 3 kgs. The kg and the kg will cancel. So it's like 60 multiplied by 3, and there we'll get 180. So we're going to get 180 meals per day, which means that this child is supposed to receive 180 meals per day, okay, of feeds. Every day you're supposed to give this child 180 meals per day, every day. Now, because our feeds were supposed to feed this child 2 hourly, every 2 hours, every after 2 hours, meaning how many times are we supposed to feed this child in 24 hours? If we're going to feed, it means because you have 24 hours in a day. So if you're going to be feeding 2 hourly, 2 hourly, how many times would you feed this child? It means you're going to feed this child 12 times, because it becomes 24 divided by 2. So meaning you're going to feed this child 12 times. So if you are going to feed this child 12 times, it means this 180 meals, you divide it by 12, so that you have the amount of feeds you are going to be giving this child every 2 hours. So that at the end of the day, at the end of the 24 hours, the first day, you would have fed this child 180 meals. So how do we go about that? So we'll say 180 meals divided by 12. So when you divide 180 by 12, it will give you 15. So, and then you get 15 meals. So this child is supposed to, on day 1, this child is supposed to receive 15 meals, 15 meals of EBM, okay, 15 meals of EBM, or 15 meals of feeds 2 hours, okay. So on day 1, on the first day that the child is there, the instructions that you're going to give, or what you're going to feed this child, is 15 meals of feeds given every after 2 hours. So each and every 2 hours, you give 15 meals. Every after 2 hours, you give 15 meals of feeds. So that is how you feed the child on day 1. So now, what type of feeds can you give this child? So types of feeds, you can have mother's breast milk, which can be given as expressed breast milk, EBM. You can give a donor's breast milk in a scenario where the mother is unable to give the milk, donor's breast milk, or you can give formula or formula milk. Okay, so it's not advisable to mix formula and the breast milk because of the high risk of necrotizing enterocolitis. So usually when you want to go formula, you go formula. If you are going to go with breast milk, you go with breast milk. Breast milk has got benefits. Breast milk is preferred because it has got it's associated with a lower risk of necrotizing enterocolitis. It's protective because of the antibodies that the child will get that are passed on through the breast milk from the mother. So now, this is our day 1. How do we feed this child on day 2? Second day. Day 2. Now, what you should understand is that when you are feeding the child, when you are feeding, the TFI is supposed to be increased by 20 meals every day. So each and every day you're going to be increasing by 20 meals. Remember that this is a baby. So you want to be feeding them cautiously, with increasing the feeds cautiously up to what they can handle. So you don't just start with a bunch of things you give them. No. You're going to cause neck. So for you to prevent that from happening, you feed them cautiously and then you increase gradually. You start with smaller feeds, then you're increasing. Which means that our TFI, total fluid intake, is supposed to be increased by 20 meals every day. So you're increasing TFI by 20 meals every day. So we just say increase TFI by 20 meals per day. Which means that our day 2 TFI, say day 2 TFI, our day 2 total fluid intake, is going to be our day 1 total fluid intake, our day 1 TFI plus 20, because we're increasing by 20 mils, isn't it? And our day 1 TFI was how much? We started the child at 60 mils per kg per day, isn't it? So meaning we're going to have 60 plus 20, and this is going to be 80, which means that on day 2, the TFI for this child is supposed to be 80 mils per kg per day. Okay? Meaning the child is supposed to receive 80 mils per kg per day of TFI. That is what the child is supposed to receive. Now, this is 80, child is supposed to receive 80 mils per kg per day. Now here, how do we go about this? Remember, our child is 3 kgs. Our child is weighing 3 kgs, which means we're going to say 80 mils per kg per day multiplied by 3. So when we say 80 mils per kg per day, we multiply by 3. It means that this child is now going to receive, so let's do that, let's multiply. It gives you 240. So you say 80 mils per kg per day multiplied by 3, it gives you 240. So this child receives 240 mils per day. So the child is supposed to receive 240 mils per day of feeds. Remember that this 240 mils, we need to give it 2 hourly. So we divide 240, we divide it by 2, but by 12, and it will give you 20. So this 240 divided by 12, because you want to feed 2 hourly. Meaning, when you divide it by 12, 12 into this, it's 2. So it gives you 20. 20 mils. 20 mils of feeds, which are going to be given 2 hours. So meaning on day 2, the child should receive 20 mils of these feeds every after 2 hours. So I'm going to receive 20 mils 2 hourly of these feeds. Then let's go to day 3. I need to rub that. On the third day, day 3. So on day 3, how are you going to feed this child? Remember that we're increasing our TFI by 20 mils per kg per day, isn't it? Which means that what we do is, from that, remember our day 3 TFI. Our day 3 TFI, this TFI is going to be equal to day 2 TFI plus 20. And this is going to be our day 2 TFI was 8, right? It was 8. So it's 80 plus 20, which is 100. This marker is disappointing me now. Which is 100. 100 mils per kg per day. So the child is supposed to receive 100 mils per kg per day. Okay? This is what the child is going to receive. 100 mils per kg per day. Okay? So now, that is on our day 3. Now, because our child is weighing 3 kgs, we get this 100 mils per kg per day. We multiply it by 3, which means that the child is supposed to receive 300 mils per day, each and every day. They're supposed to receive 300 mils per day. Now, that because we're going to give it 2 hourly, you divide the 300. So you divide the 300 because you're going to give it 2 hourly. Because you're going to give it 2 hourly. So this is 3. This marker. So because you are going to give it 2 hourly, so remember the child is 3 kgs, so you say 100 mils per kg per day multiplied by 3 gives you 300 mils per day. Now, because the child is, when we have this 300 meals, because we're supposed to give it 2 hourly, so we divide this by 12. When we divide it by 12, it means that what this child now is going to receive is 300 divided by 12, which is 25. Meaning this child is going to receive 25 meals of feeds. So they're supposed to receive 25 meals of feeds. And these 25 meals of feeds, they're going to receive it 2 hourly. So this is what the child will receive on day 3. Then what do you give on day 4? So day 4, on day 4, what is the child supposed to receive on day 4? So now on day 4, remember, we increase by 20 again. So day 4 TFI, is going to be, day 3 TFI plus 20. What is our day 3 TFI? Our day 3 TFI was 100. So meaning we're going to have 100 plus 20. So meaning on day 4, the child receives 120 meals per kg per day. Now this child is 3 kgs. So we multiply, we get 3 multiplied by 120. So it is like 3 kgs multiplied by 120 meals per kg per day. And when we say, when we multiply our 3 by 120, it gives us 360. 360 meals per day. So this child is supposed to receive 360 meals per day. Because we are going to give this every 2 hours, we divide it by 12. And when we divide 360, we divide it by 12, it's going to give us 30. So meaning this child is supposed to receive 30 meals of feeds, usually EBM, 2 hourly. So every 2 hours, our nurse is going to feed this child with 30 meals. Every 2 hours, they'll be fed 30 meals. Okay, for day 3. Now let's go to day 4. On day, this is for day 4. Let's go to day 5, day number 5. For day number 5. So for day 5. So Rabbi, I'm sure you are able to remember this. So for day 5, so day 5, we say our day 5 TFI is supposed to be equal to day 4 TFI plus 20. And this is going to be equal to, so day 4 TFI, remember our day 4 TFI was 100 and our day 4 TFI was 120. So it's like 120 plus 4 plus 20, it becomes 140 meals per kg per day. That's 140 meals per kg per day. That's our TFI on day 5. Okay, on day 5. So now, because the child is 3 kg, we're going to say 140 multiplied by 3, and that is going to give us 420. 420. So say 140 multiplied by 3, it gives us, it's going to give us 400 and, it's going to give us 420. 420 meals per day. Meaning this child is going to be fed 420 meals per day. Now this 420 meals per day that we're giving this child, because we're going to be feeding 2 hourly, we divide it by 12. So divided by 12 is going to give us, when we divide it by 12, not 2, divide it by 12. So 420 meals per day divided by 12, we are going to end up with 35. So end up with 35. 35 meals every 2 hours. So every after 2 hours, the child is going to receive 35 meals of express breast milk. What about day 5? What about day 6? Here is where it gets interesting. So remember that in term babies, the maximum amount of fluids, the maximum amount of TFI that you can give is 150 mils per kg per day. So meaning this child, remember they were at 140. So on day 6, instead of going to 160 when we add the 20, we'll go to the maximum, which is 150. So on our day 6, the TFI of this child, TFI, is going to be equal to 150 mils per kg per day. And the child, because the child is 3 kg, you are going to multiply the 150. It will give you, because the child is 3 kg, we're going to say 150 multiplied by 3, which is going to give us 450 mils per day. So this child is going to receive 450 mils per day. And we divide this by 12 because we're feeding 2 hourly. So we're going to divide this 450 mils divided by 12. And it's going to give us, when we do that, it gives us 37.8. So when you divide this, gives you 37.8. So you just round this off because you can't give 37.8 of feeds. So you give 38 meals every 2 hours. So that is how you are going to be giving this child. So meaning on day 6, this child receives 38 meals of feeds 2 hourly. And that is how you are going to be feeding this child. Okay. Remember always that your TFI is equal to EBM. So you are going to give, what you give is, you don't give IV fluids. For 10 babies, they receive a breast milk. Okay, so if it can be express breast milk, which is EBM, it can be donor milk, or it can be formula. Okay, but you're going to start at 60 mils per kg per day. You're going to be increasing by 20 every day, 20 mils every day, until a maximum of 150 mils per kg per day in this particular child. So there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this video helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share with your friends. With that being said, this is Dr. Beston Wheeler. Until next time, God bless you and stay tuned. Thank you.